It's exactly what we want to see happening. Getting this stuff in your head, however it works. Vocab cards is the classic way to do it. Make sure you are getting on top of it all. Now, I know we've gone hard, right? A couple of days busyness today. It's going to be a big day again. But then it's okay. You've got like a couple of days to just chill. And when I say chill, I mean catch up. Make sure that you've got everything that is under your head for these 3 days under your belt before you kick off next week for more again. Okay, we're going to start by Kahooting. So get yourself ready on the Kahoot front. Let me get a code up here for you. See if we can take John Look down today. Don't let him get away with it. All right, there's your code, 8421179. 8421179. Everybody get in there. Hey, what? Gonna be JR. Nice. I like the attitude. Well, you know. Huh? Okay, 12. What do we got here? 1, 2, 3, 4. 19. Should be 19 of us. 6 more. Anybody having trouble getting on? Or is it just taking time? Good. What have we got here? 16. 3 more. Everyone's in? You good, John? Grant? Trouble. You didn't download it. Hey? Oh, it's on your computer. Having troubles. Not letting you. Might have to just watch today. Play along on the side. Okay, 17. One more person. Who else is having troubles? Who are we waiting for? Don't stand there looking at me. There's somebody else who's not here. There's 19 people in the room. There's only 17 up there. There's now 18. Okay, cool. All right, everyone's in, except Grant, who can't download it at the moment. All right, are we ready to start? Let's play then. I don't know why we don't have any, why the Kahoot volume's not working, but anyway. 3, 2, 1, ready. Zoe. Zoe means. Zoe means. Life. Excellent. Great start. Most of you got that. I like it. Yeah. Suke. Suke. Okay, tricked a few of you there. Most of you got that though. Soul, self, excellent. It's on. Ecclesia. Ecclesia. You've got the Ecclesia Lounge downstairs at Hope Centre. What's it for? Ecclesia. You've got the Ecclesia Lounge downstairs at Hope Centre. Hopefully no one ticked sin. That's good. We don't want the sin lounge downstairs. Yes, it is the assembly and church. Right, fantastic. Doxa. Doxa. What does doxa mean? Glory. Yeah, tricked a few of you there. Change the leaderboard. Ah! Hello. Prosopon. Prosopon. Nice, mate. You're doing well here. I like it. Euangelion. Euangelion. Sweet. Can't chase him down. Jesus is Greek for yes, it is Jesus. Excellent. That messed up Greek word. Poieo. Poieo. There's a few confused looking faces here. No, most of you done pretty well there. Tricked a few of you though. Okay. Can't trick the top of the leaderboard though. Lambano. Lambano. Take or receive. Okay, it's way too quiet in here. This is supposed to be fun. You guys are taking it all too seriously. So poieo. Anyone tell us how they remember poieo? Any mnemonics, any little things in your head that helped you remember it? Nothing. You just remember. Hey? You make your bed. Make poetry. Yeah, nice. Okay. And what about lambano? Lambano. Anybody remember? How do you remember lambano? You take a lamp. Nice. I've always thought about it like the lambada, you know, that Spanish dance. Lambada. You got to take your partner. And we dance. Woo! Right? To help you remember these little things, right? Lambana. Okay, right. Next one. Hey! The pressure. Uranos. Uranos. Which one is it? No. Damn, I meant to press blue. No. Uranus is heaven. Indeed it is. It's trouble on the front. Huios. Huios. Somebody asked the other day if it's a breathing mark on a diphthong, will it always be a smooth breathing mark? And I said, nah, not necessarily. It's just always going to be over the second vowel. But here you go, huios, rough breathing mark over the second vowel of the diphthong. Huios. Hey, most of us have got it. Sun, nice, excellent. Oh, there's on. Oikos. Oikos. We used this a fair bit in our examples yesterday in class, which of course puts the pressure on you, which means you should all get it right. Oh, did a brother see bread? We talked about this all day yesterday, people. A brother saw a house. Get it in your head. Can't chase down the top of the table there. Okay, true or false? Blepete is the present active indicative second person plural form of blepo. Is blepete the present active indicative second person plural form of blepo? Yes? No? John, look, what's up the back there, man? You're stressed now? You're freaking out. What's happening there, bud? Yes, it is true. No, yes, it is true. It is true, yeah. Yeah, I was just gonna, when I looked at that, I'm like, that messes with my mind. Why is red true? That is disturbing. And like, in my kind of world, true would be on the left and, yeah, okay. Don't go too quick. Uh-oh, it changes. Legos is the third person singular form of Lego. Present active indicative. Third person singular form of Lego. True or false? Legos. It is false. It is the, what is it? It's the second person. Yes. Luo, luis. Second person. Excellent. All right. A few changes on the leaderboard here. It's all happening. How would you translate didaskusen? Didaskusen. Would you translate that as I teach, or we teach, or he, she, or it teaches, or they teach? Didaskusen. Did you say, I don't know, I'll just guess? Oh, I was loading. Oh, okay. Yes, they teach. Didaskusen. That's our third person plural ending. Luo, luas, luai, luomen, luete, luusen. All right, it's our third person plural ending, which means it's they. Third person plural. They teach. Nice. All right, does that change our leaderboard up a bit too? Yeah, there's some movement here. All right, how would you translate agais? Agais. Now they're getting tricky, hey? Now you need to know the vocab and the paradigm. That's not fair. All right, got a few there. Changes up on the leaderboard. All right, first person plural form of laleo. Laleo. What is the first person plural form of laleo? Wow, that's tricky. That's tricky, that is. First person plural. No. Okay, remember laleo is like a phileo verb. We looked at this yesterday afternoon. So it's oomen, not omen. That would be if it was like a luo verb, but it's not a luo verb, it's an eo verb. It's like phileo. Tricked ya. I don't know how much joy that gives me. All right. Still pretty good up on the top of the leaderboard though. What case and number is doulos? It's a noun. What case and number is it? Doulos. I don't know. Just have a guess. No, don't guess. Know it. Go through your paradigm. No, yeah. Come on. Logos, logon, logoi, logus. Yeah? All right, accusative plural. It's the pressure, man. It's the pressure. It gets to you. All right. Second last one. What case and number is theon? Theon. Case and number is theon. Yeah, okay. We're getting down to like 50% kind of strike rate here. So we're going to keep working on this a little bit. Pressure gets to us. Last one for today. Scoreboard's changing. Last one for the day. Translate that. Ho nomos didaske ton laon. Does that mean the Lord teaches the people, the Lord teaches the crowd, the world loves the people, the Lord loves the nations? Well, you've got to be fast. Oh no! Apparently I need to give you more time for that one. But you might have missed out your chance. So what happened there on our podium at the end, we've got coming in third place is David. Woo! Second place, Josh. Oh no, Jotham. And first place, D. Who's D? Yeah, Derek. Woo-hoo! All right, David. I can check the results if you want. I can do it. I can do it. Dig deep. Well done. Well done. Title for the day. Nice, Jotham. All right, excellent. Bit of fun, but you get the idea. It's helping you to get on top of your paradigms, your vocab. That's the key, right? You need to get on top of your paradigms and your vocab as much as you can. Now, if you don't have that 100% under your belt today, right now, it's okay. Like, it's only been a day and a bit, right? It's only been 2 days. That's all right. But I will give you the news, just give you the heads up, just in case you haven't figured it out yet. There's going to be a lot more that comes today. Yeah? And there's going to be a lot more that comes tomorrow. It's not going to stop, right? Well, not tomorrow. Saturday. But the next day and the next day, it's just going to keep coming, right? So you want to make sure you're on top of stuff as much as you can be before the next stuff comes around. It's like being out in the ocean. You want to get your feet on the ground before the next wave comes and smashes you. Otherwise, you're going to go down, and we don't want that, right? So keep your head above the water and keep working hard at it. Okay, devotions today. So yesterday someone asked a question, Jotham asked, a good question about words and how they are used and how they have, you know, we've got Leo and we've got Lego that all sort of says the same things and stuff like that. So how does that work? And how do we deal with that? And I spoke a little bit to it yesterday, but I thought we'd do a devotion on it today that would help us just think a little bit more about this or see this out in the wild at least. Asking that question about words that have overlapping meaning, right? Overlapping semantic range is what we say in the techie, Greek, nerdy world, right? Overlapping semantic range. So we want to have a look today at John chapter 21. So someone got their Bible open for us, John chapter 21. Well, all of you have your Bible open, but someone want to read it for us? Last chapter of John's Gospel. John chapter 21, and someone want to read for us verse 15 to 18? Yep, great. Big loud voice. Yes. Disappointing, but I guess we'll cope. Nah, it's fine, man, whatever.
When they had finished breakfast, Jesus said to Simon Peter, Simon, son of John, do you love me more than these? He said to him, Yes, Lord, you know that I love you. He said to him, Feed my lambs. He said to him a second time, Simon, son of John, do you love me? He said to him, Yes, Lord, you know that I love you. He said to him, Tend my sheep. He said to him the third time, Simon, son of John, do you love me? Peter was grieved because he said to him the third time, Do you love me? And he said to him, Lord, you know everything. You know that I love you. Jesus said to him, Feed my sheep. Truly, truly, I say to you, when you were young.
No, that's fine. You can stop there. Awesome. Thank you. Okay, now obviously right at the end of John's Gospel, one of the post-resurrection appearances of Jesus where he meets up with his disciples for us on the beach on the shores of Lake Galilee. Now, the scholars and the historians and probably, to be honest with you, just kind of tradition, for some reason they think they know exactly where this beach is and exactly this spot. You can go there. Here's a photo of it, right? This is the beach that Jesus sat on that day, and Peter came, apparently, according to tradition. And that building there, there's a chapel there, a Catholic chapel. Pretty much if you go and travel around Israel, any place where anybody thinks that they can determine that Jesus did something here, there's a Catholic chapel on it. And so there's a place there, there's a chapel there. This is the beach. Imagine it on the shores of Lake Galilee, where Jesus is meeting up with his disciples and Peter, and they're sitting there. That's me on my selfie, Jesus Beach selfie, looking back at the Sea of Galilee. But anyway, that's not the point of the devotion. The point of the devotion is that Jesus asks Peter a question. He asks the same question 3 times, in fact. And, you know, the threefold repetition of this question. Why do you think Jesus asked Peter the same question 3 times? What do you think? Okay, so he wanted to understand what he was really asking, yeah? Exactly, so he wanted to get the depth of that. What else might be factors into that? Yeah?
It seems like whenever Jesus talks about the Gospels, whenever he repeats something, that's something important.
Okay, repetition is always a way that authors can stress things and make sure that they're important. Yep, Gift.
Some they say because Peter denied the 3 times.
About a week or so earlier, Peter was asked 3 questions about Jesus, right? On the night that Jesus was arrested, and Peter had 3 opportunities to say, yep, I know him, I love him, I follow him. And he took every one of them to say no and deny him. Right? And I suspect that all those things are probably playing a factor, but I suspect the reason why he asked 3 times is because of that 3-time denial. This is an opportunity for Peter, well, this is an opportunity for Jesus to reinstate Peter. For Jesus to give Peter that second chance. Now, we believe in a God of second chances, and that's a great thing. That Peter gets hurt, that, you know, how could you possibly ask me 3 times? You know, it's like, oh my goodness, Peter, really? It seems to tell us something about the kind of guy Peter was. But the point of the conversation, and the point, I think, of it being recorded here in John's Gospel the way it is that Peter is being restored by Jesus, right? And he's been given the job, right? The task. He's been given the second chance to confess his love for him. And he's been given the task to lead the church, to take care of this fledgling Christian community that is forming around him just right at this moment, right? And when we turn the pages over from the end of John to the beginning of Acts, we'll see that in the very early days of Christianity, even before the day of Pentecost, Peter is the one who's standing up and taking the lead. He's the one who stands up, who speaks the word of God to the gathered disciples, who authorizes the institution of the 12th apostle to replace Judas. He's the one who stands up on the day of Pentecost and preaches. He's the one who's leading the church, right? This is Jesus giving Peter a second chance and reinstating him before he's about to leave for his ascension. But here are the questions that he asked him. And here are the questions that he wants to look at. 3 times Jesus asked him, do you love me? But here's the Greek of those 3 questions, verse 15, 16, and 17. Simon, son of John, do you love me? The first time he says, more than these, right? Some people argue about what that means. Who are the more than these? But that's all right, we're not going to talk about that today. Simon, son of John, do you love me? Simon, son of John, do you love me? Simon, son of John, do you love me? Right? But you can see here that the first 2 times he asks that question, he says, Simon, son of John, do you agapao me? It's one verb that means I love, agapao. The third time he asks the question, he says, Simon, do you phileo me? Right? It's the verb that you guys learnt the other day for I love. 2 different verbs, 2 different ideas of love, agapao and phileo. So the question is there something big going on here, right? Is there something deep going on here? Is there a difference in Jesus' question between do you agapao me and do you phileo me, right? And this is a big issue that people always debate and discuss. If you pick up any commentaries about it, people will be engaged with any, decent level commentaries at least that engage with the Greek text, will be engaging with this particular question. What's interesting, if you look at your Bible, Jesus says, do you love me? And Peter says every time, you know I love you. You know I love you, you know I love you. Right? But so what Peter says in response is, I phileo you. Right? So do you agapao me? Peter says, you know I phileo you. Do you agapao me? You know I phileo you. Do you phileo me? You know I phileo you. Right? Okay, so and people are having this big debate, you know. Is there a difference between agapao and phileo? And there'll be a whole stack of people who argue, yes, there is, absolutely. You know, phileo is that kind of, you know, common love, just friendship kind of love, that kind of idea. But agapao is something that's on a whole nother level. It's kind of God's love. It's self-sacrificial love, that kind of idea. That's what agapao love is like. It's a different kind of love and all these kind of things and stuff like that. And so, you know, is Jesus kind of condescending him down here? You know, do you agapao me? Do you love me that kind of way? Do you love me at that kind of level, Peter? And Peter's like, well, no, I only phileo you. That's all I can come up to. Do you love me at that kind of level, Peter? No, I can only love... Okay, well, do you love me at that kind of level then, Peter? You know, like, is that what's saying? Is that what's going on? Is it condescension going on here? Is it kind of a lower level? Or is Jesus trying to say, you can't love me as much as I love you? Is that what's going on in this change of the word? All these kind of debates, all these kind of discussions go on around this particular passage and this particular change from agapao to phileo. But the question we've got to ask is that legit, right? Is that really what's going on here? Is that why Jesus has changed those words? Or are they just synonyms? Are they just overlapping words that basically pretty much mean the same thing in this particular context? Jesus can say, do you agapao me? And Peter says, you know I phileo you. You know? So are they just actually saying the same thing, basically? Are they just basically synonyms? Do they mean just the same thing? These words are used a fair bit throughout John's Gospel. Love, it's a big theme in the Gospels and stuff like that. And sometimes it's agapao, sometimes it's phileo. For instance, the Father loves the Son. That's a sentence that's said several times throughout John's Gospel, exactly like that. The Father loves the Son. Sometimes it's the Father agapaos the Son. Other times it's the Father phileo the Son. So, you know, it's pretty hard to sort of, you know, say that phileo is a secondary, not so good love when we actually have in the very same gospel that God the Father phileos God the Son, you know. So, you know, these kind of debates are quite interesting and quite nuanced, and we've got to try and figure them out. One of the other things that goes into this is style and an author's style. The technical word for that is idiolect. Doesn't mean that they're an idiot. That's not what we're talking about. The idiolect is the individual's style, the way people write. You've all got your own style in the way you write things and stuff like that. So do the gospel writers. And so what's John's idiolect? What's John's style? And actually one of the things that we realise that John does a lot of is this switching between words, this kind of synonyms. He seems to love synonyms and just switching between words all the time, different words that basically mean the same thing. In fact, he does it in this passage quite a lot. So we've got the ones with love here on the screen, and this is where we're asking the question. But notice that as well, when you read back through it, you'll see he changes between sheep and lambs as well, right? Pretty synonymous kind of terms, or maybe not. Is there supposed to be something deep going on there? And when Peter writes back and says, you know all things, you know that I love you, you know everything every time, John switches between two different words for know as well, right? There's a word for know, oida, and there's a word for know, gnosko, right? And so there's, like, even in this passage, there's other synonyms used all the time as well, you see. So, I don't know, where does that leave us, right? Well, it leaves us realizing that there's semantic overlap, right? That these words, they mean this, and that, but there's an overlap, yeah? The question we're trying to figure out is, and the question that scholars are arguing about, particularly in John chapter 21, are we in here where the words just basically mean the same thing, or are we out here, you know, where agapao means something different to phileo? Now, if you forced me to say what I think on that debate, I think I definitely fall on the side of it's just a synonym, right? There's no real, I'm not going to put massive exegetical weight on that. You can see, interesting, you read the ESV, it just says, do you love, do you love, do you love? Yeah? NIV? Who's got an NIV? No one's got an NIV Bible. Someone got an NIV for us? Yeah. Josh, do you, verse 15? Do you truly love me? Interesting. Anybody see the word truly up there? Well, no, because you don't know what the word truly is, but that's okay. Right? You can see that it just says, Simon, son of John, love me, question mark. Simon, son of John, love me. Next one. Do you truly love me? Verse 16. And then verse 17. Just do you love me? Right? So the NIV has entered into this debate in their translation. And they've said, yes, there's something about agapao that's different to phileo. Let's do it. Do you truly love me? Oh, do you just love me? ESV just sat there and went, do you love me, do you love me, do you love me? Right? Okay, so this is what's going on in that debate. That's what's going on in the translation. That's what's different. Are these just synonyms or are they not? Is this, well, there is massive semantic overlap. But what's going on here? Is it in the middle or is it on the side where both of those two words are supposed to mean, have different nuances to try and convey something different to you? As I said, for me, I think you're going to find it's just on synonyms. John does it all the time, and the fact that we can have the Father phileoing the Son and the Father agapaoing the Son in John's Gospel is enough to put a nail in the coffin in this debate as far as I'm concerned. All right? If the Father phileos the Son, then you can't be telling me that there's something inferior about phileo. Yeah? Okay, so yeah, but it's an interesting, right? It's an interesting debate, and this all comes from that question Jotham asked about this idea about semantic overlap and words that mean the same thing. Well, sometimes, but they've got little different nuances at other times and stuff like that. So, yeah. Now, but one thing's for sure though, you're not going to know any of that, and you're not going to see it. You're not going to be able to even enter the debate, or you're not even going to be able to ask the question if you don't know Greek. Yeah, and that's what we're going to be. That's what we're here to do, to be able to read in high definition, to be able to look at these sorts of nuances and to be able to ask those kind of questions of the text, that's for sure. So, any questions or comments from you guys on that passage or on that issue or on what we just talked about at all? Yeah, Justin.
Would you stretch your understanding all the way to how people break down all the other forms or words for love? Because as ideally is the agape, storge,
Eros, yeah. Yeah, so this is the big thing. In fact, C.S. Lewis has written a whole book about this. C.S. Lewis famously wrote a book, The Four Loves. And he's engaging with this all different nuances of love. What does it look like to love in this way and that way and everything like that? Yeah. And Don Carson's written a very interesting book as well called The Difficult Doctrine of the Love of God. Both of them just little books, but they're very profound and very deep thinking about these kind of ideas. So if you want to read further, you want to think more about these ideas, C.S. Lewis' Four Loves or Difficult Doctrine of the Love of God from Don Carson. Highly recommend, yeah. But yeah, there's a whole scholarly world out there that will have all those debates about the different nuances of love words. Yeah.
But how do you use Greek now to get a better understanding of these passages?
This is exactly what we're doing, right? This is exactly what you want to do because you're going to be able to enter into these debates. You're going to be able to ask the question, right? And so you've got to come up with your own conclusions. You've got to do the hard yards so that when someone says to you, like the way I would use it, right? I mean, if I was preaching this, I wouldn't talk about any of this stuff, right? Okay? Do you understand that? Right? Let me get this quickly. Con Campbell. Con Campbell's one of the world's leading Greek gurus at the moment. He's got a great quote. Let me see if I can remember it exactly. He says, it mightn't be word for word, but he basically says, you're not learning Greek so you can stand in the pulpit and tell everybody about the Greek you know. You're learning Greek so you can be better prepared to stand in the pulpit and give a better sermon, right? Okay? You don't stand up in the pulpit and tell everybody about this Greek stuff, right? This is what we do in Greek class. But in the pulpit, when you've done all that homework, in your office, when you've worked hard on the Greek text, you've understood the text so much better that you're able to preach it so much better. So I'm convinced, I'm telling you, if you put me on the stand, I'm convinced that I don't think there's anything going on in this nuance between these two things. So I'm going to talk about God's restoration. I'm going to talk about God's second chance. I'm going to talk about the fact that God offers you a second chance. We've got a God of love. And we're going to talk about our own love. And I'm going to talk about the time that we were pressured to give up, turn our back on God, or do we love God more than the approval of people? You know, because that was Peter's problem. He was scared. You know, like what are we going to be? How are we going to be? Are we going to be the Peter on the other side of this, or are we going to be the Peter on the front side of it? That would be what my sermon would be like. I wouldn't talk anything about Greek. Right? But working hard on the Greek text is going to get me to that point first. Then, again, what I talked to you guys about the other day, the very first morning. If you want to argue with people who teach, or if you want to engage with people who teach the Bible falsely, you're ill-equipped to do it unless you know Greek and Hebrew. So when someone comes into my church and they tell my people, no, but you don't understand, there's something different here. This is agapao and it's phileo and it's got all of this stuff, then I'm going to engage them. I'm going to talk with them. I'm going to say, really? So help me understand. When in John chapter 3, verse 35, it says the Father agapaos the Son, but in John chapter 5, verse 23, it says the Father phileos the Son. How does that understanding come into what you're doing here? And what about these other synonyms that John uses all the way throughout his gospel? And we're going to have that conversation. We're going to have that debate. But without you knowing Greek, you're not equipped to do it. The person comes into your congregation and says, no, there's differences between this love and that love, and you've got to make sure you've got the right love, otherwise you're out, and Jesus won't accept you. Then I'm like, well, you're talking rubbish, right? And I need to defend the truth of the gospel as a result of that, but I'm ill-equipped to do it if I don't know Greek, yeah? Other thoughts, comments, questions? Well, let me pray. Dear Lord God, we thank you that you are indeed a God of second chances, even a God like Peter who denied you, who turned his back on you in your hour of need. You can love, forgive, give a second chance to reinstate and have as leader of your church and leave in charge of your people when you left, Lord. We thank you that you're that kind of God because we need you to be that kind of God, because we stuff up every day. We maybe not quite like Peter did that night, but in many other ways, in little ways, we deny you. We choose the world over you. We need your love. We need your forgiveness, just like Peter did. And Lord, help us to love you. Help us to love you more than anything in this world, and use us as your servants, as reminded us this morning. Use us as your servants to serve your people and to love you by doing that. Help us to emulate your love for us, a servant-hearted, self-sacrificial, giving, humble love. Lord, may that be true of every one of us here. Not just in this class, not just in this college, but in every day of our lives and in every sphere of our lives. Help us to be humble, modelled servants who model our lives on you. And we ask it in your name. Amen. Okay then, Greek. Well, we need to learn some Greek. We've been having too much fun. Well, we can't have too much fun. We should have more fun. It's not like learning Greek's not fun. It's all fun. But so yesterday we learned a fair bit, right? I know that. I'm okay with that. I'm hoping you're okay with that. I'm well aware that it was a lot. There's a fair bit we're going to learn again today. That's okay, right? You guys are up for it. But yesterday we learned our first paradigms, right? We learned our verb paradigm, our luo paradigm. We learn our phileo paradigm. And we also learn half of our logos paradigm. And we got introduced to the article as well, right? So fair few paradigms that we got our head around yesterday. Let's just touch base on them quickly and make sure that we're still there. Does anybody have the courage, the boldness, the confidence to give me the luo paradigm right now off the top of their heads, not looking at their notes? They've written it out so many times last night. They went to sleep going, right? They woke up in a cold sweat going, oh, no, I don't want to. Who thinks they can do it? Someone. Derek, give us a shot, mate.
Luo, wise, weight, woman, weighted.
Yes! Awesome. Give the man a round of applause. You guys, you're at the golf or something. We're not at the golf here. We're like, where are we? We're at like, hey? The Proteas beating Australia. Okay, all right. So, you know, who? David Miller just hit a 6. All right? Half of you don't know what I'm talking about, all right? Okay, we don't give thanks like that in this classroom. We give thanks like, woohoo! Yeah! Woo! All right, well done. Okay, everybody stand up. Everybody stand up. This is our paradigm. We've got to get it in our heads. Are we ready? Let's say it together. Luo, luais, luai, luomen, luete, luusen. Excellent. Tell the mountain. Luo, luais, luai, luomen, luete, luusen. All right, tell the beach and wave at everybody in the camera. Hello, everyone in the camera. Hey, tell them all. Luo, luais, luai, luomen, luete, luusen. All right, turn around to the front now. If this was normal, right, we'd be downstairs, the second years would be next to us, and our job would be to make more noise than the second years make, right? That'll be our job. But now, I don't know, we're supposed to are we allowed to yell? I don't know that we are. It's just let's try and get them to hear us. They're a fair way away, right? They're down the bottom. So sort of turn around and focus your volume down that corridor, down that stairwell, and then, actually, no, I've got a better plan. Come on. Come down the stairwell. Come on. Okay, so everybody go down, and then go right, someone right down the bottom, and then leave 2 steps, and then the next person go, and then leave 2 steps, and then the next person go. All right. Up till we keep going, up till we get up to the top. So stand down there, Ash. Okay, stop there, Ash. Yep. Okay. Then leave 2 steps. Leave 2 steps. Yeah, that's good. Okay. Keep going. Derek. Keep going, Derek. Yep. Okay, leave 2 steps. That's it. Nice. Herbert, go down one more. Go, Ash. Yep. Eden, yep. Okay, go down another one. Yep. Okay, come across. Who have we got here? Josh, come down. Joseph, one more step down. Okay, all right, okay. Charlotte, you can go down a bit further. We can't all quite fit in, but that's all right. Okay, the rest of us are going to lean over the top here. Okay, shh, they don't know we're doing this. All right, okay. We're gonna channel all our voices down the hall here, and we're going to make sure that the second years know that we know our Luo paradigm. Are you ready? All right, okay. 1, 2, 3. Luo! Luais! Luai! Luomen! Luete! Luusen! Woohoo! Quick, sleep. They'll never know. Okay. Luo, luas, luai, luomen, luete, luusen. In your head, drill it down, until it's just second nature to you. You can say it without even thinking about it. That's what we want. Okay, but that wasn't the only one we learned yesterday. We learned our phileo paradigm as well, right? And remember, that was almost exactly the same, except not, right? Just a little bit different on the first person and second person plural. Anyone want to tell me what that one is? You get a bit of a hint because half of it's up there anyway. Come on. Jasmine, you can do it. You're busting to do it. I can see it. Philumen. Philite. Excellent work. Give her a clap. That's right. That's how we clap around here. All right. Stand up. Philo, this is our philo paradigm. Philo, philite, philumen, philite, philusen. Tell the mountain. Philo, philite, philumen, philite, philusen. Tell the people in the camera. Wave to them. Philo, philite, philumen, philite, philusen. Excellent. Let's go. No, that's not going to We'll be here all day if we do that for everyone. Okay, we didn't just learn that though. We learned our nouns as well, right? We learned our logos. Well, we learned half of it, right? We started our logos paradigm. Who's going to tell me what logos paradigm looks like? Michael's going to tell me what the logos paradigm looks like. Yeah. Logos, the noun. Goes logos. Logon. Log. Goi. Michael didn't really tell me. Hey? All right, here we go. Logos, logon. Logoi, logus. Yeah? You know what I'm talking about now? Yeah, okay, good. Logos, logon, logoi, logus. All right, stand up. Logos, logon, logoi, logus. Tell the mountain. Logos, logon, logoi, logus. Tell the camera. Logos, logon, logoi, logus. Why don't you tell the people in 30 Beach Road? Who's living over there? Hello, everybody. Let's open the windows here and make sure they know that you know your paradigm. Maybe the ladies in the office over there might hear us too. Tell, oh yeah, the kitchen door's open down there. That's nice. All right, tell them. Make sure they can hear you. Logos, logon, logoi, logus. All right, nice, excellent. Now, our article. Oh, the article. Anybody want to give that a crack for me?
Which one?
The article, the whole thing. The. All right, give us a go, Jonathan.
I'll go like that.
No, go like this. Masculine, feminine, neuter. Yeah.
Okay, let me try. Ho, hoi,
No. Ha, and then ton. Yeah. Ton. Hoi.
hoi,
Sus. Nice. Excellent. Masculine. Well done. Feminine.
hey,
Yep.
hi, no, hey,
Yes.
ten,
Yes.
hi, tas.
Nice. And neuter. That's where it gets easy.
That's to, ta, ta.
Ta. Yeah. All right. Woohoo. Well done. Ha, ton, hoi, tus. He, ten, hi, tas. Ta. You know what to do? Okay, from the top, we'll go down, masculine, feminine, neuter. Ha, ton, hoi, tus. He, 10 high tas, ta, 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 ta. Nice and easy. Tell the mountain. There's a few nervous little giggles. Oh dear. Okay. Ready. Ha, ton, hoi, tus, he, ta, 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 ta. Okay, so we started off well, and then we had a little bit of a dip in the feminine, and then we come back and smash it home for the neuters. It's always the way. The feminine's always a little bit trickier. All right, here we go. Ha, ton, hoi, tus, he, ten, high, tas, ta, 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 ta. Yeah, all right, excellent. Okay, sit down then. Okay, well, we want to work at that stuff. It may not be 100% in your head yet. That's okay. I understand. We only learned it yesterday. All right? That's okay. Just keep working on it until it is, though. Yeah? Okay? It's okay that it's not 100% in your head yet, but by 5 o'clock this afternoon, it better be. No, just kidding. All right? Okay? But you want to make sure you get it into your head, right? Particularly over this weekend. Okay, we'll talk more about that later. But there are some gaps in this table, right? There's some gaps. I haven't hidden anything from you, and we want to fill those in. So, to fill those in, Eric, I need your help. We can't do anything without you, brother. Our sentence from yesterday. Steve? Through a bull to Derek. Excellent. Steve threw a ball to Derek, right? We learned that. We've seen that. We saw what the verb is, which is? We know who the subject is, and we know that he's got a special case. What case is the subject? The nominative case, always. We know what the object is. We know what's being thrown. It's a ball. And we know what case the object is, don't we? Object is always the accusative case. And then I threw the ball, who to? To Derek, right? He's the dative case. We didn't spend too much time on him yesterday. We'll come back to him today, right? But we learned all that yesterday, okay? That's our sentence as far as it's concerned. And then yesterday afternoon as well, we realized that it wasn't just a ball, it's the ball, right? But today I want you to realize that, as I told you about yesterday as well, it's not just a ball, it's not just the ball, but as I said, this ball's special, right? This ball is the ball that I gave to my son. We got 4 balls, 1 each, even though Jonathan was only 6 weeks old at the time, but he needed his own ball, right? To remind our boys that they're going to go Aussie. Shush with the Go Proteas, all right? Okay, so in reality, the truth is, my 13-year-old son who loves you and wants you to learn Greek, this is actually his ball, right? This is Matthew's ball that he sacrifices so that you can learn Greek. So Steve actually threw Matthew's ball to Derek, right? Steve threw Matthew's ball to Derek. Now, has my sentence changed much? What's the verb? Still throw. Who's the subject? Steve. Still Steve. Who's the direct object? Still the ball. What did I throw? Still threw the ball. Who did I throw it to? Derek. Threw it to Derek still. Nothing's changed, right, in our sentence structure. Everything that we looked at before is still exactly the same, right? But I've added another noun, haven't I? I've added another noun in there. Matthew. I've added another noun in there. And this is the noun of possession. Whose ball is it? It's Matthew's ball, right? It's the noun of possession. Matthew's ball. And just like everything else, it's got a special case of its own. And the case of possession is the genitive case. The genitive case. Steve threw Matthew's ball to Derek. Derek is the indirect object. We talked about that a little bit yesterday. I didn't throw Derek, I threw the ball. So the ball's the direct object, but who did I do that to? Who did I throw it to? I threw it to Derek, so that's the indirect object. And then we've got now as well the genitive case. It's the case of possession. So now we've got two more cases that we need to get our head around, right? And how do you think Greek's going to tell you that a noun is not in the nominative case or the accusative case, but that it's in a genitive case or a dative case? How do you think Greek's going to do that? It's going to change the endings, right? Okay? It's going to change the endings. There's going to be special endings for the genitive case and special endings for the dative case. So there's our paradigm that we've learned so far, but we learnt it like that deliberately because there were gaps that we needed to fill in there, like the genitive singular and the dative singular, and the genitive plural and the dative plural as well, right? And so now we're in a position where we can actually fill in the whole logos paradigm. And what it looks like is this. Logos, logon, then the genitive singular is logou. Logou. And the dative singular is logo, that long O sound, logo, with an iota subscript. Remember I told you the other day, iota subscripts, we need to learn them because we wanted to learn all the dots and dashes and squiggles. But more than that, it's very important for the meaning of the word. And here, that iota subscript under the omega is telling you that this is a dative singular form of logos. So logos, logon, logou, logo. Maybe you don't pronounce the iota subscript, but it's there. And then back to what we learnt before, logoi, logus. And then the genitive plural of logon, genitive plural, logon, and the dative plural, logois. Logois. Okay, logos, logon, logou, logo, logoi, logus, logon, logois. That is now our full paradigm. No, nothing up my sleeve, no more gaps there that we need to fill out. That's our full paradigm for our second declension masculine nouns, logos nouns. Yeah, Joe. No, nominative, subject, accusative, object, genitive, possession, dative, indirect object. We'll talk more about that in a second. Let's try and flesh that out a little bit more. Nominative, subject, accusative, object, genitive, possession, dative, indirect object. We'll talk a little bit more about what that might look like. Okay, you guys got this down now? So let's have a look. Let's talk about it. Let's say it out loud together. We've got to get this in our brains. For the oral learners out there, for the visual learners out there, for the written learners out there, for the kinesthetic learners out there. Okay, let's do it all, right? Ready? Logos, logon, logu, logo, logoi, logus, logon, logois. Excellent. Should we stand up? I think we should stand up. Ready? Logos, logon, logu, logo, logoi, logus, logon, logois. Nice. Excellent. Okay, you can sit down. I'm not going to get you to tell the mountain yet. You only just saw it 2 seconds ago. But you're going to get that in your head. Okay, so that's our second declension masculine noun paradigm now. We've got it all now, right? But if we go back to our article as well, because this is what we want to do today as well, we want to fill this in, because we had gaps on the article as well. That's not so good. We don't want gaps. So just like we did before, we can fill this in. It's going to have the same pattern: nominative, accusative, genitive, dative. So we can put the nominative singular, accusative singular. Now we can split the genitive singular and the dative singular in there. And we can put the genitive plural and the dative plural in there. Now the good news is, I told you there's lots of good news, doubling up, right? How much, I told you yesterday that the masculine paradigm for the article looks a lot like the logos paradigm. The endings look very similar. So we've got ho and then we've got ton. So the genitive singular of logos is what? We just wrote it down. What is it? The genitive singular of logos is logu, right? It's logu. So what do you think the genitive singular of the masculine article might be? Tu. And the dative singular of logos is logo, with an iota subscript. So what do you think the dative singular masculine article might be? To, with an iota subscript. And so on and so forth, right? The good news is the endings are exactly the same, right? Doubling up. You buy one, you get one free. We call that bog off in Australia. It's a bog off deal. Buy one, get one free. Bog off. Right? Ho, ton, tu, to, hoi, tus, tone, voice. They're all the same endings that we had for logos just on our article. Nice and easy. You learn one, you learn the other. You get them both for free. We don't get them both for free, I guess. You've got to work hard on one of them, and you get the other one for free. Ho, ton, tu, to, hoi, tus, tone, tois. Okay, so that's not so bad, hey? That's nice and easy, right? The article looks exactly the same as logos looks. That's happy days. Now, remember yesterday I said Greek likes agreement. Yes? Greek likes agreement. And when it comes to the article and the noun, what that means is that the article and the noun will always agree in case, number, and gender. Right? It'll always be exactly the same. So if I was to say the word, for instance, the word, I could say it in a nominative singular way. If it was the subject, I could say it in the accusative way if it was an object. right? If it was possessive, I could do it in the genitive way. If it was dative, I could do it that way, right? So here we go. Just to give you an example, if I wanted to say the word, that's what it would look like. Ho logos, or ton logon, or tu logu, or to logo, or hoi logoi. Okay? Because Greek Life's Agreement, all the articles will agree with their nouns in case, number, and gender. And that is pretty, right? Looks nice. This is exactly what we'd hope. All the endings look exactly the same. Easy peasy, right? That's the way it works. Greek likes agreement. Although it's not always going to be as easy as that. Okay, now you don't have to write all that down if you don't want. I was just showing it up there to show you how the article agrees with its noun, right? Hey, Josh, have you got everyone? Yeah? Everyone's, you got the whole class? Sweet. Okay, so let's just clarify this so that we've got it right. And so that everybody's with us here. When my noun is in the nominative case, what's that telling you about its job in the sentence? It's a subject. When my noun is in the accusative case, what's that telling you about its job in the sentence? It's the object. Exactly. When my noun is in the genitive case, it's the case of possession. So when you see genitive, I want you to think of. You know, we said Steve threw Matthew's ball to Derek, right? Steve threw Matthew's ball to Derek. But like a more clunky way to say that is that Steve threw the ball of Matthew. Yeah? The ball of Matthew. It's possessive. The ball of Matthew. So when you see genitive, you think of. That's how you're going to translate it. The ball of Matthew. And then you're going to get better, and you're going to get cleverer, and you're going to go, that's a pretty clunky way to speak in English. So I know it's the ball of Matthew because I saw it was a genitive noun, but I can just translate it as Matthew's ball because I'm really clever, right? But think of when you see genitives, right? When you see a nominative, it's screaming out to you, I'm the subject of the sentence. When you see an accusative, it's screaming out to you, I'm the object of the sentence. When you see a genitive, you think of. Okay? When I say genitive, you say of, right? When I say genitive, you say of. 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 Right, okay? Get that in your head. Whenever you see a genitive, you are thinking of, right? The ball of Matthew. When I say genitive, you say of. When it's a dative, then what did I do? I threw the ball to Derek. To Derek. So think to, but you can also, sometimes in the way that this works, sometimes the way that the sentence structure works, sometimes the way the context works, is it's not just to. Maybe I threw the ball for Derek. Yeah? I'm teaching Greek to you, but I'm also teaching Greek for you. Right? Sometimes the context is go either way. I teach Greek for you. Either way, you're still the indirect object. I'm the subject, teaching is the verb, Greek is the direct object, you guys are the indirect object. I teach Greek to you, I teach Greek for you. Either way. So, write that down, right? That's a nice little summary for you of the cases that it's always going to be. So when you come to translate a sentence in Greek, let me tell you what you are not going to do. Remember this, because you all tried to do it yesterday. I know, I'm in your head, right? What you are not going to do is you are not going to look at the sentence and go, oh, I recognize that word, I recognize that word, I recognize that word, I recognize that word for my vocab. Okay, okay, cool. How could I put all those words together in a way that just makes some vague sense in an English sentence? Okay? Boom, boom, disaster. Don't do that. You do that, you're going to get it wrong. You all want to do that. I know you do. But don't do that, right? You're not going to do that. What you're going to do is you're going to look at every single noun and the case of every single noun. You're going to figure out what case they are. And then you're going to listen to what they're telling you. When it's a nominative noun, you're going to go, aha, that has to be the subject of my verb. I need to make sure that's out the front. And it's the subject of my verb in my English sentence. When it's accusative noun, okay, that's the object. When it's a genitive noun, you're going to go, because when I say genitive, you say, and when it's a dative noun, you're going to think to or for, right? That's how we're going to translate them. You stick to that, you're disciplined with that. You figure out the cases and you listen to that. Then you're always going to go right. You instinctively just go, oh, I don't know, I know some of these words and try and put it together as a sentence. You're almost always going to go wrong, right? Okay? This is what you want to do. Stick to this. This will help you. So let's have a look at an example. Nice little phrase for us. It's just a phrase. It's just an example. It's not even a sentence. It doesn't have a verb. So we're not going through a whole translation practice here, but the nice little sentence, the nice little phrase we've got up there is hot logos. You better know what logos means by now. Means the word. What about kuriou? The Lord, right? But what case is it in? To kuriou. We just learned it. Have a look at your table if you need to. What case is to kuriou? It's the genitive singular case, isn't it? It's the genitive singular form of kurios. So it's hot logos to kuriou. It's genitive. And when I say genitive, you say? So I'm going to translate that as the word of the Lord. Yeah? The word of the Lord. You with me? Because when I say genitive, you say, oops, I've gone the wrong way. You say of. The word of the Lord. Yeah? How about this one? Arche, from your vocab, last night, beginning. To euangeliou. What case is it? Genitive. And when I say genitive, you say, so the beginning of the gospel. Okay. What about Jesu Christou? Jesus Christ. The beginning of the gospel of Jesus Christ. Huiou Theou. Son of God. The beginning of the gospel of Jesus Christ, Son of God. Mark chapter 1, verse 1. Yo! Yo! It is 10:15 on Friday morning. At 10:15 on Wednesday morning, you didn't even know the alphabet. It's 10:15 on Friday morning. You just translated your first real, genuine verse of the Greek New Testament. No. That is bigger than that. They want to hear you in the second year room. They want to hear you in reception. I want the whole college to know that you just translated your first verse of the Bible. Yeah! Woo! All right. Calm down, everyone. What are you getting so excited about? All right. That's awesome. Okay. So, let's get our heads around some more practice. Let's try and get this down for a little bit here. We've got a little bit of time. So why don't we turn to Duff? Remember my Duff today. Go to Duff. Go to page 33. Go to page 33. And I want you to, so I'm on practice exercise 3.2. Have a look at, don't do question 1. Don't do question 1. Do question 2. Don't do question 3, do question 4. Do question 2 and question 4. Question 2 and question 4. We're all about even numbers here. You with me? Page 33, practice 3.2, question 2, question 4. Work on those. See if you can get that going. quickly together. Blepe ton angelon to theou. Okay, now if I was to translate a sentence in Greek, by the way, which is what you are doing, all right? What's the first thing I'm going to do? I'm going to find the verb. That's the first thing I'm going to do. I'm not going to just find all the words that make sense to me and try and put them together. No. I'm going to start with the verb always. I'm going to find the verb. And you know what I'm going to do? This is what I'm going to do. This is what you should do. You're going to grab a pen. You're going to underline it, right? Underline your verb in your sentence when you're trying to translate stuff. It's going to help you. I'm going to start with the verb always. I'm going to look at this verb and I'm going to ask myself, what's the vocab word hiding behind that verb? And in this case, the vocab word hiding behind that verb is blepo. And blepo means I see. Okay, and it's a luo type verb, right? So what does this ending tell me? Luo, luais. So it's a third person singular verb. So it's he, she, or it sees. Okay, now I'm asking myself, the next question I'm going to ask is, does my sentence tell me who he, she, or it is? What am I asking? I'm asking, is there a subject? Is there a nominative noun? Is there a nominative noun in this sentence? I don't think so either, right? There's no nominative noun in this sentence. So at the moment in our little sanitized kind of classroom where we're just doing little practice exercises, that's all the information we've got. We can't tell whether it's he, she, or it. It's just he, she, or it sees. Okay, now what do they see? Okay, I'm looking for the object of the verb. So what case am I looking for if it's the object of the verb? What case is the object of the verb? It's the accusative case. So do I have an accusative case noun here? Somewhere? Which one? Ton. Looks like accusative to me. Ton angelon. That's the accusative ending, isn't it? Logos, logon. Accusative singular, right? It's the accusative ending. So that's my object of my verb. So he, she, or it sees the angel. Okay, now I'm going to come over here and I'm going to look at this one here and I'm going to say, what case is it? To theou. What case is it? It's genitive. And when I say genitive, you say the angel of God. Remember, we don't have to translate the God every time, right? The angel, he, she, or it sees the angel of God. What do we think? Happy enough? Too easy? You guys are just like, come on, Steve, this is easy, right? I'm just translating Greek sentences. Woo-woo! Not hard at all. Okay, what about the next one then? It's a Greek sentence. I'm translating it, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to... Number one step, find the verb. Where's my verb? Akuete. I'm going to underline it. Then I'm going to ask myself, what's the vocab word hiding behind this verb? And it's akuo. Okay, then I'm going to ask myself, what's the ending telling me? Second person plural. I love it. Luo, luais, luai, luomen, luete. Second person plural. So if it's second person plural, then I'm going to translate, how am I going to translate the second person plural form, the present active indicative second person plural form of akuo? You hear, and it's you plural, right? Yous hear, right? You hear, okay, what do they hear? What do we hear? Okay, now I've got another noun over here. Going to look at the case to try and figure out what it's telling me in the sentence, right? So what case is tous logus? Accusative plural, yeah? If it's accusative, then what's that telling you about its role in the sentence, its job in the sentence? It's accusative, it's the object. So what do you hear? You hear the Don't forget your article. You hear the words. You hear the words. Questions on either of those two exercises? Doesn't matter if you got it wrong. It's good to get it wrong. Tell us about how you got it wrong. No problems getting things wrong, because if you get things wrong, then you learn what you did wrong to make sure you don't do it next time. There's no problems with getting things wrong in this classroom. Yeah.
So, since we don't know who exactly the he, she, or it is, would it be right to translate it, see the angel of God, or do we need to put a he, she?
No, no, because it's not a command. It's telling you that someone did it. Yeah, so no, if this is all you had, then you translate it as he, she, or it sees the angel of God. Because, yeah, but this is like a sanitized little classroom. We're not out in the wild here, right? Okay? Go out in the wild, then suddenly you've got context. You've got a whole story going on around you. You know exactly who he is. When it says that Mary was out in the fields and Mary was out in the fields and blepe ton angelon to theou, right? Then you're going to know, you're going to translate that as she sees the angel of God, right? But when it's Zacharias was in the temple and blepe ton angelon to theou, right? You know, you're going to translate that as he sees the angel of God, right? Okay? But context is going to help you in that. But we've just got little sanitized little things here. We don't have context. So, yeah. Yeah. Ebenezer.
You listen to the word.
Listen. You hear, you listen. Is that what Duff says? That's a synonym. Nice. What does Duff say for akuo? To hear or listen? Well, then you get full marks in. Stick with what Duff says. But yeah, if Duff says hear or listen, we're fine with that. No worries. Yeah. So you listen to the you listen. But how do you say that though? How did you say the sentence? Give me your whole sentence.
We listen to the word.
To the words. Words, plural. Yeah. Okay, but now can you see though, by doing that, you've changed that to almost like a dative kind of idea. You listen to the words, as opposed to you hear the words. Okay? And that is exactly what we want to spend our time thinking about right now. Because actually this is a little bit confusing, right? When it comes to a few words. So what time have we got here? We've got a little bit of time before morning tea. So let's have a talk about that exact idea that Ebenezer just brought up for us, because it's a really important one. Because we've been learning a lot of rules about how Greek works, right? And this is good. And Greek loves rules. But you and I both know that rules are made to be broken, right? And for every rule, there's always an exception to the rule, right? And it's always the case in grammar, with English, you know that. In fact, English is one of the worst languages, right? But it's the case in Greek as well. And particularly the one I want to focus on at the moment is, we've been learning the rule that the verb takes an object, and the object is in what case? No people? Answer. Hello. What case is the object in? It's in the accusative case, right? Verbs take objects, and the object is always in the accusative case. But there are some exceptions to that rule. Firstly, there are some verbs that don't need an object. I sing. Doesn't need an object. I run. I dance. There's a whole stack of verbs that don't actually need an object to make any sense, right? I throw. If I said that, you'd be like, what did you throw? Yeah, right? I need an object. But if I just said, I danced, I was dancing, it's fine, just by itself. It doesn't need an object. Verbs that don't need an object have got a special name. We call them intransitive verbs. Not massively important to you right now. Intransitive. Intransitive. They're verbs that don't actually need an object to make sense of them. So it's not like every single verb's going to have an accusative object after it. It's not like every single sentence in the New Testament is going to have an accusative noun, because not every single verb needs a direct object. Right? Some verbs don't have to have one. So that's the first exception we need to be aware of. They're intransitive verbs. Secondly, whilst most verbs, and this is the rule, are followed by an accusative object, there are a couple of verbs, tricky little verbs, annoying little verbs, who we say this is the language you use. They take a different case. The object isn't an accusative noun. They might like to take a dative noun or a genitive noun as their object. So let me just go through this nice and slowly with you. Let me take an example for you to try and see if we can make a bit of sense of this. Let's think about this sentence for a moment. I am speaking words to you. Are you with me? Steve threw a ball to Derek. I'm speaking words to you. Sound similar? It's exactly the same sentence structure, isn't it? Steve threw a ball to Derek. I'm speaking words to you. What's the verb? Who's the subject? I am. What's the object? Words. What's the indirect object? You, right? Okay, it's exactly the same sentence as Steve threw the ball to Derek, right? It's exactly the same, nothing new here. But do I actually say out in the wild, does anyone speak like that? Does anyone say, I'm speaking words to you? What do we say? I'm speaking to you. Of course that's what we say, right? We leave that whole bit out. Now, can you see what I just did? I left that whole bit out, but I haven't actually changed the sentence structure at all. The reality of the sentence is still the same. And so can you see that a word like speaking actually often gets followed by just simply an indirect object. Now, what case is my indirect object? It's my dative case. And you can see why, right? Words like speaking, like lego and laleo, we say they take the dative case because of this exact reason why. Because we don't say, I'm speaking words to you. We just say, I'm speaking to you. Who are you speaking to? I'm speaking to you, right? So when I'm out in the wild, words like speaking, like lego or laleo and stuff like that, they won't have an accusative case noun that follows them often. Often they'll just have a dative case noun that follows them because that's the way we speak, right? I just say, I'm speaking to you. But you can see from the logic of this, there actually is a direct object there. We just leave it out. We don't say that. We don't say, I'm speaking words to you. Does that make sense? Right? So, lego is an exception. Lego takes the dative. We like to say that. That's the way we say it. Lego likes to take the dative rather than the accusative because of this exact reason that we just saw here. And this is what's been highlighted by this idea of listening as well, right? We'll come to that in a second. Because listening is a different word as well. You with me? It's an exception. And there's a reason why. It makes sense why it's an exception. I'm speaking to you. Now, if I was to actually be... Oh, done it the wrong way again. If I was to be more explicit about it, if I was to say, I'm speaking rubbish to you, then you can see that's a full sentence, isn't it? And then rubbish is the actual direct object. All right? And so rubbish would be in the accusative case. If I'm going to be explicit about that, that's going to be there, right? I'm speaking rubbish to you, I'm speaking trash to you, then that is a direct object. But if I'm just saying I'm speaking to you, then that's going to be in the dative case, right? And that's often the case, often the situation, that lego would be followed by the dative case. Okay, that's lego, and it's an exception, right? The rule is verbs take accusative case objects, but there's an exception for you. Lego will often take a dative case for this reason that we've just looked at up here. Pistuo is another word that takes the dative case. Now, Duff, your vocab last night, so turn to page, page 41. Page 41 in your Duff. You learnt your vocab last night and you would have got to the end of it and you would have found that Duff wants to give you one more verb. And he says, pistuo plus dative, right? Plus dat, right? And that's why it's there, right? Because it's Duff's way of saying to you as well, by the way, pistuo is an exception verb. It doesn't get followed by the accusative case object. Pistuo gets followed by a dative case object. Pistuo plus the dative. That's his way of trying to remind you of highlighting it for you. To put it aside in your brain and realize, when I see pistuo, I'm not going to find an accusative case noun after it. I'm going to find a dative case noun. And the reason for that is you don't just believe, right? You don't just believe, you believe in something. And the idea of being in something is a very dative idea in Greek language. And we'll come to understand that a little bit more on Monday next week. Okay? But you just trust me for now. We'll come back to that. All right? So pistuo is another exception. All right? We just looked. Lego is one exception. Speaking is an exception. It's going to take the dative. Pistuo is an exception. It's going to take the dative as well. All right? Okay? Let's look at one more as well. One more exception, and then we can have a break. And that is akuo. This idea of akuo, of listening. This is a bit of an exception as well. And it's an exception for a similar reason. So let's have a look at it here. I hear the voice of Jane. I hear the voice of Jane. Let's say that was my sentence. Makes perfect sense. Who's the subject in that sentence? I am. What's the verb? Hear is. What's the object? The voice is. And then what have we got? Jane. What's she? Of Jane, right? She's genitive. It's possessive, isn't it? Whose voice is it? It's Jane's voice, right? Okay, excellent. So, we'd have a subject, would be in the nominative case. We'd have a verb. We'd have an accusative case noun, because it's the object, right? The direct object. I hear the voice. And then we'd have a possessive of Jane. We'd have a genitive noun. You with me so far? Okay, good. Now, does anybody speak like that? Does anyone say, I hear the voice of Jane? No. What do people say? I can hear Jane. Can you hear Jane? I can hear her. Can you see what we just did? We just say, I hear Jane. Did I change the sentence structure at all? No. So what case is Jane going to be in? She's still going to be possessive, right? She's still going to be in the genitive case. Because actually the truth is, I don't hear Jane, I hear the voice of Jane. But we just don't bother speaking like that, right? We leave all that bit out. But it doesn't change the structure of the sentence at all. And so what that means is, akuo likes to take the genitive, right? For this exact reason. It's an exception verb. If I'm going to say, I hear the words, that's fine. Then it's going to be in the accusative, like we've got here. If I'm going to actually say that, I hear the sound of the traffic, that's fine. That's going to be in the accusative. The sound would be in the accusative. But I'm just saying, can you hear the traffic? Yeah, I can hear the traffic. Then the traffic will be in the genitive, right? Because actually the reality is, what I'm actually saying in that sentence is, I can hear the sound of the traffic, but I just don't bother saying that. I just say, I hear the traffic. Does it make sense? So akuo is an exception as well. Akuo takes the genitive. Now, if all of that's like super confusing to you, don't panic, right? I'm not trying to panic you. I'm not trying to freak you out. There's a few exceptions, and I'm just trying to explain to you why those exceptions actually make sense. But if that's too confusing and you're worried about it, you don't understand anything that's going on there, don't worry about it. Just remember this then. Akuo takes the genitive. Pistuo takes the dative. And lego takes the dative as well. Rather than being followed by accusative nouns like you'd expect, those three verbs are exceptions. And they take different cases. If you want to have a look, so just go back quickly. Oh no, we're running out of time. But if you go back to page 33, this is why I didn't want you to do question 1 or question 3. So can you see question 1? Akuo, I hear, followed by what? The genitive. Ton kurion. To kuriu. Right? Now, you'd be tempted to translate that as, I hear of the Lord. But we're not going to translate it like that, right? Because akuo is an exception verb. Akuo takes the genitive. So we're just going to translate that as, I hear the Lord. Yeah? I hear the Lord. Does that make sense? And in question 3, I'll come to you in a sec. Question 3, pistuomen, first person plural, we believe, well, to Christu. It's dative, yeah? Just we believe in the Christ, all right? We believe the Christ. We believe in the Christ. Okay? It'll take the dative because it's an exception verb. Yeah, Jasmine. No, don't do that. No, don't do that. Because you don't want to add words into your translation that aren't there in the Greek. Sometimes they will be there. A voice came from heaven declaring, this is my son in whom I love. It's there. The voice is there. It's in the Greek, right? But you don't want to add words into your translation. You want to avoid adding words into your translation as much as possible. If it's not there in the Greek, don't put it in your translation. Unless it needs to be there to make your English sentence make sense. Like we add and things like that, right? Okay? Okay, but that's plenty enough. Let's have a break. Let's call it morning tea. And I'll see you back at 1:15, yeah?